Alrighty guys, welcome back to another LEGO set review from BrickByBrick, and today with set number 70816. This is Benny Spaceship, and containing 940 pieces. This was released in 2014 as part of the summer wave of LEGO movie sets, and it retailed for $99.99. There are 5 minifigures, 4 of which are exclusive, and, you know, it's a spaceship, and, I mean, classic space, how much more do I have to say? The main build of the set is this really awesome looking neo-classic spaceship based on obviously the 1980s LEGO classic space theme, and the colors on this are really nice. Big homage to the classic space sub-theme. Obviously, this is light bluish gray, not light gray. They didn't resurrect the dead color just to make classic space. And, I'm perfectly okay with that. No, honestly, I prefer light bluish gray. I don't know. It's just always been a personal preference. But, gray and blue with a little bit of trans yellow all throughout it. It looks really very classic spacey. And I like that. There's a lot of different elements of this that feel, or that kind of add to the classic space feel. There's a lot of arrows, which in, classic space sets, they use a lot of these printed arrow tiles and bricks, and the printed arrows would typically, show you where there is a play feature, and on that set, or on this set, that is also true. You'll see up here on the little winglets that have these flick-fire missiles, there's arrows pointing, because you can shoot it like that. That first one shot off really well. But all of these, oh, that one, those two are a little sad. There we go, that was a little better. But yeah, flick-fire missiles work. They've been kind of phased out a little bit. Like, we see them every so often in modern sets. I don't think they existed back in classic space days. Fairly certain of that. But it is cool to get some modern play features in this set, obviously. And they look pretty good as well. This right here is a print. Most of the other details you'll see in this set throughout it are not printed. They're stickers. All of the stickers in the set are clear backed as well, which I was, kind of anxious about. I did get most of them in there pretty good, and they weren't too difficult to apply, but, obviously if you mess up on a transparent back sticker, it'll just come out looking really badly. But at least from, from this distance, everything, all the stickers that I put on, ended up coming out really nicely. In this front section, this is a new color for this X-Wing canopy. I believe that was introduced for the UCS X-Wing, but it's really nice to get it here in transparent yellow. And yeah, that's going to be a big popular piece with classic space builders pretty much everywhere. Several times on the set you're going to see this designation LL929. Back during the classic space sub-theme, sets would tend to be referred to as, their set number. So for example, 928 was, in the US, known as the Galaxy Explorer. I believe it had different names in different locations in the world, because I don't think they were printed on the boxes. I think they were just what people called them. And 928 is the really, popular, the thing you think of when you think classic space. I'll try and remember to put an image on the screen right here. But 929 is the next one in order, so basically it's kind of suggesting that this is an upgraded form of 928, and the set definitely does take a bit of design inspiration from that set. For example, trans yellow canopy being big and somewhat that shape, and having the same color scheme exactly. So it is kind of similar, and I like that little homage. That was definitely intentional. It's a nice nod for classic space fans. I like how they use these windows as the intakes. I believe these parts were available at the time in classic castle sets. They were probably relatively new back then, but it's cool that throughout the set They do use some more modern parts, but they try and stick to, you know, some relatively retro stuff. I don't know if these were available back in the day, but for example, on the back wingtips, you know, these pieces, those you don't see too often nowadays, but they used to be used all the time. Radar dishes, you know, classic space all the way. Inside the cockpit, there is room for a total of 3 figures. And, you know, they all sit in this classic space chair style part, which is really cool. And as a bonus, it allows room for, you know, the accessories on their back, Wildstyle's hood, Emmett's piece of resistance, and Benny's space jetpack piece. It does have printed canopy in there. Those are both existing prints that have been around for a while. Maybe not quite since the 80s, but, you know, pretty similar, and it does have 2 buttons above that. One other really cool detail uses stickers to emulate the designs of printed, like, button panels and tiles back then. There was none looking exactly like this, but the design of those buttons definitely feels very retro. And that's the same sticker used twice, just oriented both directions. The center section of the spaceship houses a little extra seat for Unikitty with a little bit of a windscreen in front of her. Obviously not very effective, but you know, it works in the design aesthetic of this ship. And there is a printed tile there as well, just right in front of her, so she has some amount of control. I would assume that those are meant to control the spring-loaded shooters that sit right next to her, and those shoot off pretty easily. Cool play feature, obviously didn't exist in the 80s, but you know, this is not an 80s set, so it's definitely appropriate. She can be locked in there with this droid body, so when you're swooshing the spaceship around, she won't fall out. She won't, remove unless you pull this up, and, you know, then she'll come right out. They actually use these brackets to make the space inside there just barely larger than 1 stud wide, so she can fit in there. There's a little bit of room for her to wiggle around, so it's not impossible to get her in or out. But, you know, it works pretty well. And there's a cylinder in there that, you know, keeps her from moving back and forth. So she gets locked in there pretty well. The one thing that's a little bit of a shame is that, you know, obviously, as is true in all designs of Unikitty from the Lego Movie, her head falls off really easily, so that's a little bit, you know, ineffective. They do a great job of securing her. It would have been great if her head stayed on a little better. They do use stickers to label this as a latch, because, guess what, it is a latch. Inside there is a little bit of interior space, inside which you can place quite a few figures. Note that these retro spacemen are not included. I have just placed them in here. One downside is you cannot close this with figures inside. We'll hit first the guy in the back, and then the 2 guys in the middle. You know, it's almost able to close, and I believe that if your figures that you put inside there do not have, you know, jetpacks on, then they will fit perfectly fine. However, not here and here, just in the 2 seats. So, you know, a little bit unfortunate, but it's nice that you can get them in here at all. There's a printed control panel there, as well as a stickered glass panel on the back, which houses inside some sort of energy core built up with little diamond crystal pieces. Kind of cool, and it's nice to be able to, you know, see a little bit of it in there. It's, you know, more impressive if you've actually, you know, built the set and gone through. But on the other side, there is just a different control panel. But overall, the interior space there is cool to have and cool to know exists. But it's not like the best feature in the set. You know, just because I would love to be able to fit astronaut figures in there with jetpacks, you know, that would make this thing absolutely perfect. And you probably could lie a figure down with jetpacks inside, actually. Here, let's grab one that has it on currently and test it out. I believe that, yeah, that'll work. So you could lie one down in there. I believe using the fact that you can lie one down, you could get it astronaut of every original color. You could get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You know, you could fit like 8 figures plus Unikitty, all, you know, in the ship, closed up. That's kind of cool. And in the back here, in this section with the radar dish, the radar dish can be pulled up and hinged, you know, up and down. You can also rotate it. And down here are these two little robots, which we'll take a look at when we get to the figures, but they just fit right in there on those jumpers. You know, it's cool. Other than that, there's not too much detail inside that compartment. There's just these little lasers, which I don't know what those are for. Maybe if the robots go rogue, we have to take them out. The back of the spaceship has these wings, which all 4 sides have this classic space logo on there as a sticker. It's not a print, unfortunately, but you know, it's cool to get that as a sticker at all. And in the back, we've got these 3 massive engines, which use 1x1 round tiles on Technic pins with 2 studs in order to actually, you know, be able to, you know, look cool. I like the bevel gears in the center as well. There is one more big play feature with this, and that is, well, I guess 2 more. One of them is these little removable things, which, you know, you can pull off. It shows the arrows as well, and these can fly around. There's one on either wing. We're going to take a look at these separately in just a second. But the big play feature that everybody has been waiting for is if you take this back, the little back engine, and you push it in, it'll spring the wings out, and then you can push on this right here, as well as on the other side, just like so, and just shoot off those like bigger Technic ball cannons. I think those are cool. You know, nice little feature. Integrates pretty well. Like, you know, honestly doesn't detract from the looks at all whatsoever. And again, I like that they have the arrows on the stickers. And again, those are printed space logos. Pretty cool overall. These, you know, obviously are just gravity fed, and as these are pushed out, it just pops them up. Overall, a really cool feature, and it's integrated super well for, you know, a set like this. So these little detachable mini spaceships are both built exactly the same. They connect via one of these hinge or click hinge pieces, and each one just gets one on either side, so you could attach either one to either side, which I think is good. You know, you don't have to worry about figuring out which one's the left one and which one's the right one. And they're meant to just be attached like this, obviously, but that's not how you ride them. You fold out the little wings, so it actually has wings, and then you push this forward so that you can actually sit in it. And if we take Benny here, for example, you can put him on there. Obviously, he wouldn't be driving this because he'd be driving a spaceship. You could lean him back, and then he has a little targeting screen. I think it looks pretty good. Has a little engine on the back even, and some weapons. You can see those as weapons. And, you know, even has a little printed control panel on there. Both of them are exactly the same, and they, you know, just clip on to the wing of the spaceship, just like so. All you have to do is fold up that one wing, and you can leave the other one out. I prefer to leave the other one out, actually, because, you know, it kind of continues the lines of the regular spaceship's wings, but you could fold that up as well, and then they basically have their own little extra cockpit there, and I think that still looks good, and it doesn't detract from the looks, adds playability. Overall, a good thing. And finally, last but not least, we have the little Octan spaceship, you know, piloted by the little robot pilot included in the set. It's a cool little thing, but again, it's very little, and, you know, you build this first, like, well, I guess second, you build those little side things first. And then you build this, and, you know, you're like, that was cool. And then you build Benny's spaceship, and you kind of forget about this because Benny's spaceship is just so cool. You have the two little lasers at the front, and then also the ones attached to the wings. These are stickers on the little tail fin things, as well as these up here are stickers as well with the little triangle on them. The boosters at the back are pretty cool. This is just a bar there, which allows you to clip on his weapon when, you know, he's not using it, when he's piloting the spaceship. Canopy folds open pretty easily. He just sits in there like so, and he gets a printed console piece as well, which, you know, pretty much everybody in the set gets a printed console of some sort. But, you know, this is a cool little side spaceship. Obviously, nowhere near the size of the big thing. The first two figures included are the only ones that do not have, you know, the classic space colors traditionally, you know, and Emmett doesn't even belong in the scene. In the movie, you know, he's kind of in the real world at this point. So, you know, there's that. But I am very glad that they actually made this variant of Emmett as a minifigure. The robo-pilot is, you know, kind of an important inclusion just because, you know, someone has to drive the little small ship, so they need some sort of bad guy. So, you know, it's not like a standout figure at all, but for what it is, I think it's pretty well done. It does have this gun, which can be attached to the back of his vehicle, just to make it, you know, look better. His face is very Skeletron inspired. It looks very, very similar to the printing for them, except it has like a breathing mask on the bottom. And he does have back printing. Emmett does have printing on his back as well, but you'll see that better in just a second. He comes with a hard hat piece introduced in the CMF series, which, you know, is a cool part to get again. And I believe it only appears here and there, so it's a relatively uncommon piece. He comes with a coffee mug, because, you know, he's always got to have his coffee mug. I believe the torso is identical to the ones appearing in regular sets, aside from the hands. I'm fairly certain that is the only difference. I could be wrong, but, you know, that's the only difference I can spot. His legs are different, though. They're unique to this set because they have a little duct tape added on there, you know, just to give him a little bit more of a robot look. And then if we move around to the side, you'll see that, believe it or not, the printing actually does continue onto the sides of the feet, which I think is really cool. I actually didn't expect it. I almost forgot to point it out, honestly. That's how unobvious it was. But it's a cool little added feature. Also, there is some printing on the back of his head, just to create a little bit of tinfoil look, and I think that's really cool too. It's got a little bit of metallic print on there. It looks good, and he does come with a piece of resistance in silver, exclusive to the set. You know, one of very few colors that this part was made in. Obviously, it's designed to look like it's wrapped in tinfoil, and his torso print is pretty simple and exactly the same as the regular Emmett variant. And next up we have Benny in Space Wild Style. Benny is the only figure in the set who is not exclusive, and, you know, he appears in Metalbeard Sea Cow from the first movie, as well as later a Benny Dimensions pack. This was the cheapest way to get him for a while, which was a little bit unfortunate, but I'm glad that he's become more widely available at this point. And I love this first facial expression for him. Obviously, he has the cracked helmet, which has been carried over to LEGO Movie 2. He has the air tanks. I'm not going to take those off because there is no back printing on him. But he does get an alternate facial expression, which is really, really cool. It's just a standard smiley face, so that he can look like just a regular classic spaceman who's just been damaged. He comes with a walkie-talkie as an accessory. And Wild Style is cool, but I don't think she's as cool as the regular version of Wild Style. She does not get any arm printing or leg printing this time around. Just, you know, cool torso printing. And she does have an alternate facial expression, as well as a hood piece, which is done in plain blue. And, you know, there's a little bit of metallic shine to the gold print on her torso and on the front with the zipper. Overall, I think that it's a good figure, but, you know, it's not the best figure in the set. I think that award goes to Emmett, but, you know, her hair is the same as her hair in every other set. And last but not least, we have Astro Kitty, and this is a really, really cool version of Young Kitty, because it's got a classic space logo, and that makes things cool, right? having classic space logos. The printing for her face and this arch brick is exclusive, as well as the tailpiece in this blue color. The torso, like, arch brick is only printed on one side, but I think that's, acceptable because classic space torsos are only printed on one side. And it does have gold plates for the bottom of her feet, as well as a, blue plate to just continue the look of the spacesuit. I think this is a cool variant to Being a Kitty, and I actually really like it quite a bit. Lastly, we get these two space robots, which, are just this. They have a plate on the back. They have the little cheese slopes in just different transparent colors. And they can move their arms. They can hold stuff in the arms. They can't turn their hands at the wrist. They have levers, which you can move back and forth to, I guess, create expression in some sort of way. The red one, obviously they're common pieces, but the red one is only here. You do get another copy of the yellow one if you get the 2019 LEGO Movie 2 Benny Space Squad. So, they're robots, they're cool, they are very classic space reminiscent, so I like that. But they're not like the craziest things ever. It's cool to get them included, though. There's a lot to like about this set, and at its retail price, I think this was a really pretty good deal. The price per piece seemed a little bit off, but they're, it's not 10 cents per piece, but there's a lot of large pieces. It does use some parts on the bottom, some large pieces, some of these round things, and I didn't mention earlier, but it is very swooshable, and there's a really good place to hold it back here that blends in perfectly. And I don't know if it's even designed to be specifically, the way to hold it, but it works really well, and this thing is very swooshable, and, that's a good thing. But overall, I think that this is a great set. Awesome tribute to classic space, with some really great, good figures, I guess. I'm not going to say great. Wild Style is good. Emmett is really, really nice. Astro Kitty's cool. This guy and this ship are kind of whatever. Maybe they could have increased the size of that a little. Maybe that's the only complaint I could think of. Add some stuff to that. Give it 60 more pieces, and then you'll be at a perfect 10 cents per piece. And yeah, it would, make the set just slightly better. But honestly, there's really not, really no reason to. This is a great set. I would definitely recommend it. It was way bigger than I was expecting to, so that's always a good thing, to open a box and get more stuff out of it than you expected to. I would definitely recommend picking up Benny Spaceship if you can find it at any good price. Honestly, on the aftermarket, you can get it for around retail price, and if you can do that, I'd 100% recommend it. I'd probably even go up to maybe $120. I think that's reasonable for, a retired and really, really, really cool set. I definitely think that this is, one of those sets that I'm going to have forever, basically. It's a really, really, really cool set. And I can't see myself ever taking this thing apart. It does take up a lot of space, but I think it's worth it. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. It's really, final thoughts, it's a really, really good looking, really, really fun to play with, really, really just overall cool, nostalgic overload set for, AFOS, not me. I never had a particularly strong connection to classic space when I was a kid, but recently I've kind of fallen in love with it somewhat. I haven't gone, as far as, buying classic space sets, but this is a really, really cool thing. Overall, one of the best sets that I own, I think. I think I'd definitely go that far. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this review. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you guys have this set, what do you think? If you guys don't have the set, do you want it? And, yeah, I'll see you guys all next time. Bye, everyone.